we're about to shoot off, leaving Cobbold Gorge and heading towards Undara, which has got the lava tubes, lava caves. Very peaceful spot. Leon's using his pool noodles for good reasons. Stop the aerial vibrating on corrugations. Yeah, we should do. Nice campgrounds down there. And most of our sites have actually got fire pits as well, so it's not that we've used them. Toilets over here, laundry and kitchen. Kitchen, nothing special, but enough to be useful. And then you've got toilets and showers everywhere. Cobbold Gorge today, and we are heading to Undara Lava Caves, which is 300 or 400 kilometres up the road from where we are.
So a short day today.
A relatively short day today. A little bit of gravel, corrugations, otherwise a mixture of gravel and sealed roads. But it should be a good trip. Certainly was a nice day in Cobbold Gorge. Very pleasant, relaxing. Amenities were clean, restaurant was nice, very spacious camping area. You wouldn't really know there's as many people as what there is with the amount of space that everyone's got, so it's really nice. Middleman over there. It's our new setup in Undara. Something? Yeah. Is there something stronger you want me to drink?
What's that?
No, unless there's something. What's up, Mr. Kookaburra?
Wait.
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen one of them for so.
Off we go on the Winning Tunnel excursion.
is a representation of a collapsed tube. So around us you can see different tree species and very thick bush. That's what a collapse looks like. We're going to go into it, you'll see it from inside, and you'll see it's completely different to the dry grassland savanna that we have here. When the tube collapses, the rainforest gets into those collapses. We call that a remnant rainforest, remnant being remaining from the time all of Oz was covered in rainforest. The big dry set in and the savanna started pushing out the rainforest, but it could not push them out of the tubes, so they are still there. Some of you have read the board, not allowed to answer. What tree do we have here? What tree do we do? These lovely big ones, some out there. What are those? It's not a boab. I like you saying boab. It's a bottle tree. Boabs are in Western Australia. We have the bottle tree in Eastern Australia. We talk about parallel evolution. Evolved at the same time, for the same purpose, but from a different species. The boab, when Africa, Australia were joined, on the joined, that's where it evolved. And then the continent split up, and the boab's gone mainly to Africa, and one species stayed in WA and a bit in Northern Territory. If you take the boab, it lives for 1,500 years, and if you break open the seed pod, they are dry, brown, hard seeds with a bit of a white pith. The bottle tree only lives 150 years, and you break open the seed pod and it looks like sweet corn. Rows of yellow, soft seeds inside. Very different. So in here we have bottle trees, fig trees, and thick vine thicket growing in there. Very humid, cooler, no wind, total different environment when we go in. In fact, we have potentially a higher rainfall in the tubes than right here in the savanna. If you get 20 mil rain on the savanna, it's dry, it's hot, it's windy, not much leaf cover. That 20 mils is going to evaporate very soon. If you get 20 mils on your collapses, it goes under the canopy to the bottom. It's already humid, cooler, no wind, and there's rocks which funnel the water to the center into the compost. It's available to the trees for much longer. We have different species, rock wallaby and swamp wallaby, living inside, no grass. So they come out and feed about 5 meters along the edges, trimming the grass, keeping fires away. We have brush turkeys living inside, none outside, and they turning over the leaf litter, the compost, making sure no grass seeds are germinating. We have the tiny bats living inside the tubes, eating all the bugs. They're insectivorous. And then we have various species of snakes eating the bats. So one big happy family in there. Okay. They saw a big python day before yesterday, just down the path. I went looking for it yesterday, couldn't find it, but we'll keep our eyes open. It's warming up, so the snakes will start coming out. We'll see what we find. So here we have our bottle trees. It just feels lovely. They're such solid trees. So these are called bottle trees because they're shaped like a bottle and they're full of water. They don't have timber, they're just water inside. Your early pioneers used these in time of drought to keep their animals alive. They would chop it down, split it down the middle, 2 water troughs, and the animals would feed on the pulp inside to keep them alive. I had an older farmer on tour with me, and he said, no, we didn't do that, we did it different. He said they cut them down, then cut it into sections, and then you put the section upwards like a barrel, and they ate out of the barrel, which makes just as much sense. I prefer that way somehow, makes more sense. Your early Aboriginals used them as a food source. They would cut steps in it, climb up the tree with a vine rope that they make, and pick the pods, dry them, and then crush them into flour. And you could make dampers and pancakes out of the flour. Which brings us to the Aboriginals. They did not live in the tubes. Lovely caves. They did not live inside them. They petrified of them. We have 60 tubes, not a single rock painting in any of them. They called this Devil country with a B, Devil, as in devils, bad spirits. They did stop over in the collapses. There's proof of fire pits that they did use as they were going through collecting their seeds, but they did not live in the tubes. Some of our tubes are poisonous. They have a very high buildup of carbon dioxide. There's a lot of caves with a lot of tree roots inside, and trees excuse me, breathe out oxygen, breathe in carbon dioxide. They send the carbon dioxide down to the roots into the soil. When the roots are in the top of the cave, no soil, so they pump out the CO2, and it's heavier than air, so it sinks to the ground and accumulates. 10% dangerous to your health. Symptoms: heart rate, blood pressure up, heart rate beat is quicker, palpitations, a bit of a shortage of breath. But the main problem is your brain, your mind. It affects your brain's chemistry. And they talk about a feeling of impending doom. Monsters are coming. It's really, really bad. And if you're a superstitious, spiritual person inside a dark cave, your little kiddies got poisoned first because they're down at the bottom layers. They are now paranoid of everything in the dark. Dad's got a fire stick inside this cave, and your fire goes out because of the carbon dioxide. Man, you've seen monsters everywhere. You don't want to be in those tubes. And that's kind of how it would have happened. So nothing in there.
It's empty.
My belly.
Another beer.
Only the collapses are green. On top is grassy, normal bush. This is a very short one. This is a short piece that's not collapsed. The last one might be. On the side, and there's the other side there. This was covered by a 5-meter roof, rock roof, over the top. And I promise underneath us is 15 meters of rock rubble from the roof. Looks like you're on a creek bed, but you're not. The floor is 15 meters down underneath us. Two things to explain. One, inside the park, this is the park. It's almost the whole map like that. That's the park on the satellite image. Inside the park, we have 72 volcanoes. Okay? And around the park, we have a total of, including the park, 164 volcanoes. When you have so many altogether, it's termed a province, a volcanic province. And we are in the McBride volcanic province. Here it is on the map. This cream color is the McBride province. To orientate you, there's the highway, the Kennedy Highway. Comes straight through the province. There's the Savannah Way. There's Mount Surprise. The flow continues past Mount Surprise all this way. And over the highway that you came on, all the way up. All this way, because that's the lay of the land to that side there. But in there, 164 volcanoes. So they started erupting about 8 million years ago. That's when this province was created. The majority of them erupted, all that yellow, in the past 2.7 million years. So it's a newish province compared to others in Australia, and there are many others in Australia. And the most recent volcano here is this one, Kinrara, 10,000 years ago. I'm talking volcanoes, that's very, very recent. Okay, and it flowed down into the top of the Burdekin River. That's what's there. Other couple of recent ones, Undara, the one we're interested in, only 190,000 years ago. That's where when the tubes were formed. Now let's look on the map quickly. Orientate us here. So Kennedy Highway, Savannah Way. If you came from Mount Surprise, you came in here. Off the other highway, you came here. There's our turn off. In, down, Lodge. We're way east of the Lodge. The other tours have gone here. 2 of them down here. Now, the park is that little square inside the province. So it's on the western side of the province. And only one of the 164 volcanoes made tubes. Only one. And that's the Undara volcano, situated in the corner of the park here. Here are your tubes. One went north, over the highway. One came straight west. And then there's this long one, which the flow went all the way past Mount Surprise and kept going right down here. The tubes on the satellite image, so halfway through the map, tube. Halfway down the map, green dots. Just a few. Lots. Just a few. Crater. Green dot. You're standing in a green dot. Okay? So the line is the collapsed tubes. You can only see the collapsed tubes. When they don't collapse, they're grass. You don't know they're there. First thing to understand is that the Undara volcano was different. I talk about a she. She's a shield volcano, not the cone-shaped one, which all the others are. The tall, 100 meters high, exploding violent ones. She's not like that. She's a shield volcano. You take a Viking shield, turn it over, a round shield, put it on the ground. Little bump. Only 20 meters tall. Doesn't look impressive from the outside. Day before yesterday, first time I went to it. I was on break and I walked it. It was incredible. It's 60 meters deep, big inside, and lush with ferns and greenery, just amazing. But it's not on a tour anywhere. There's no roads. We walked 4.5 k's in the grass and the boulders, but impressive nonetheless. So that's what she looks like, and she did not erupt. She boiled over like a pot of milk on the stove, just bubbled over the sides. That's how she went. Okay, so to do all this, she had to be pretty special. One, she contained a lot of lava. She's got to go all the way to Mount Surprise. She was more fluid than other volcanoes because she had to flow. If she was too sticky, she wouldn't have got there. Next, she had to bubble for a long time. Not erupt, then you get the wrong idea. Bubble. Long time. And she was active for over 20 years, on and off. Next, she was hotter. Important. Hotter than other volcanoes. They erupted at about 1,200 degrees. She boiled over at about 1,300 degrees C. Okay. And lastly, she had to flow slowly. So to do that, from 15 k's this way, all the way to Mount Surprise, only a 2% gradient. So just off level, a little bit. That's how she flowed. Okay. So for your Cert 1, we make a tube. 190,000 years ago, she bubbled over for the first time. Down to the west, there she goes, down this way here. Cooling slowly on top as she went, because her lava is now out of the ground. And she formed a skin on top, like a bowl of hot custard makes a skin. She makes a skin. Okay. She's flowing down. Undara, after 4 or 5 months, stops bubbling. She's no longer bubbling, and we run out of lava. And the tail catches the head as she runs out, and plop, finished, done, no more flow. And she's reached 4 kilometers, let's say, on the first try. Okay. 6 months later, she boils over again, down the side, under the skin, goes down the 4 k's, comes out under the skin, and starts cooling on top, making new skin. Undara stops bubbling. This time she's reached 12 kilometers. Okay. Fast forward 20 years, and she's created 160 kilometers of flow, all the way up here and up there. 160 k's of flow and 60 k's of tubes, which is those black lines. 60 k's of tubes. End of Cert 1. Okay, we're with me so far. Right, Cert 2, we add 2 things. 1, she was hotter than all the other volcanoes. Okay, that's 1. 2, this yellow area, or cream area you see here, that is layers of basalt laid down over time by the 163 other volcanoes. Okay, every time one erupted, it put a layer. So that volcano put that layer, that one put that layer, that one put that layer, and there was one next to it, put a layer on top. So everywhere in the park there are about 5 layers stacked on top of each other, from mainly 2.7 million years ago until 250 years ago. Million, no, thousand, because it's only 2.7 million old, so a lot of them were thousands. Okay, so those are the 2 things that are important now. So let's do Cert 2, where we overflow again down the side, and remembering she is hot, 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 flowing over the 5 layers of old basalt as she goes. Okay, what happens to the basalt she's flowing over now? She's hot. Melts.
Yeah.
She's got to melt it, because it was formed at 1,002, all of it. She's running at 1,003, so she melts it. Okay, so as she's coming down, she starts melting into the basalt rock, turning it into lava, which is what it was. Becomes lava again, and becomes part of the flow, and it's gone on its way to Mount Surprise.
For evidence. I called you. I said, Henry.
Yeah.
which
Wash your ears tonight.
Well, that's not going to help me with any photos. It's pretty impressive.
the colours you see, the whites is calcium carbonate, the grey is the basalt, and the browns is rust, which is iron oxide. The cracks is expansion and contraction. 5 meters on top, as we looked up there. How thick are the walls? That's your Cert 5 question. How thick are the walls?
Miles.
Miles.
Because it's been melted into the basalt that's been already there. So they've got a big shield layer being melted into it.
You can take my torch, do the rest of the tour. Because he's right. He's right. The walls are as thick as wide as, the McBride province. Because all Undara did was melt through the rocks and put a roof on top. So the roof is Undara, not the walls. The walls were here. She's just melted a channel into them. They're still there.
So that plastering, if you call it that, is actually a leftover lining from the lava flow.
Correct. Absolutely. And if you do the archway tour, the other one, so it's called a lava bench. And when the lava flows at a certain height for a long time, it's bubbling, it's gassing, and it's splashing against the wall. And it cools against the wall and makes a bump at the level it was. And that's called a lava bench. And you can see the layering. There's benches, the bumps sticking out.
So how deep do you think it is under here?
Okay, that's easy. Just make it your make a circle. And in this one it's better because the edges are coming in already. So you go around and then take that angle and just go. 5 meters? No more than 5 meters here.
When you think about it, there's an immense amount of molten rock that's flowing through here.
Shit, yeah. Absolutely. It's big.
Yeah.
It is big. That's why I said in the 5 things she needed to have, one was a lot of lava.
Yeah.
Well, she wouldn't have done this. She couldn't have done this. And none of the others could do it. And she's not the only shield. There's other shields. And apparently there might be little tubes. But they couldn't do this. They didn't have all the characteristics needed. Okay, your next question was the collapses. Okay, so first part of my theory is where did the mud come from? 5 meters of mud. Some tubes have more. Some tubes are blocked at the end. We're going to go into one that's blocked with 30 meters of mud because you're touching the roof in it. There's so much mud on the floor. The mud is level. 5 meters. But it's water. And what is it? It is eroded basalt topsoil. That's what it is. And it's mud, so it was brought in by water. It's level, which kind of suggests one event. If it was multiples, it would have been stepped or layered or something. This is level. So one event. So recreate for me a big natural event giving you such a big flood to bring in so much mud. Go, do it. What?
Cyclone?
It's got to be something that big.
Noah's flood.
It's got to be that big because tropical rains don't do it. And this was tropical rainforest. And Cairns has 3 meters per annum, tropical cyclones, and Innisfail, Babinda next door, 3.6. That's it. Last year we had 1.5. Where's the mud? Nothing from last year. 1.5 meters didn't do it, so 3 meters can't do it. It's something bigger. Think outside the box. Big. Ice Age. The last Ice Age may not have frozen us, but we would have had way below freezing. The last Ice Age was 12,000 years ago. That's yesterday. The tubes are 190,000 years old. Okay, so all the tubes are still intact. There were previous Ice Ages. I think they did it more than the last one. So everything's intact, and you have an Ice Age. And water freezes. Water's going to get into the cracks on the roof and freeze and expand and crack the cracks. And again and again and again, weakening the structure. Now put ice, heavy weight on top. They could break. They could just break themselves because they crack so much. All you need is one little collapse to start the process in an area. So these tubes are all getting shorter because the sides are falling in, because there's nothing holding them in. There's no pressure from the side, so it's going to collapse. That's where they collapse, mainly. But it took one collapse in the middle. Right now, thaw all that ice. It's going to make big rivers. Yeah. It's going to be big, big, big floods coming through here. And in my mind, that's the logic. You've got to have a big event to do this. Okay?
And also, Professor, every child in Denmark will be able to answer that question.
It is. Put it this way. So when it's condensation, in some of the tubes we do have that, there'll be diamonds on the roof. Lots of diamonds, and there's none here. So this is rain. When it rains inside the tube. But these lines are oblong, they're not round. They're all long. And they're all pointing in the same direction. And around this corner, as you go around, they look up and all that. And around here, they face that. Wind blows them. The wind is offset them. As it drops, the wind always blows this way, in or out. And it moves forwards or backwards, making little lines. Here we have some bones. As I said just now, the animals actually coming to die. They look for a quiet place if they know it's time to go. And then they'll go to sleep somewhere where predators can't get them. And the tubes are a good spot. Just around the corner, I'll show you a full skeleton of a male adult wallaroo. His whole skeleton's still there.
Microbats.
Oh yeah, gotcha. And there's no smell. It would have been bad back then, I'm sure.
Yeah, going down.
In this enclosed environment, I can imagine it would have been bad. So one, we already said you're at the end, but it's not the end because it's gone down. Okay, so the relief of the land went down, so the tube went down. Same size, but it's gone over the edge like that, and now it's filled up with the mud.
Yeah.
And it was so hot in here. Now you can see it easily. The roof began to melt. Look at the running of the rock. Everywhere. And this feature has a very this feature has a very scientific name. It's called drip and dribble. Drip and dribble, which is exactly what it's doing. These are up front.
Yep.
Oh, same place? Yeah, right.
Are you going to euthanize that?
Yeah. So there's the glands, the big bumps, and he's not secreting. Otherwise, it'd look pussy, like a pimples. It would be. He's quite. Oh, he's cold. He's not. It's very cold. Well, yeah, that's a month ago, 2 months especially, this cave was full of bats. See them flying here? Those have just been scared by the people up ahead.
Yeah.
There's one there hanging on.
Oh, yeah.
That's how big they are. They are tiny, really, really tiny. But there are thousands in here.
Going on the bluff walk, we hope. And again, we're doing a walk. And guess who's missing?
Oh, who do you think? Guess, got one chance.
It's nicely tucked away, isn't it?
Photo time for you guys. This tree holding up this rock. You see it?
Yeah.
You stand here, you can see the rock is actually sort of flattened it on the one side.
Yeah, because we're doing because the second part of it is the swamp walk.
Oh, it's a green one.
Yeah.